Right, so welcome to the Game Challenge. Today we're going to look at the power of applied knowledge. Right, so those of you that do not know me, I'm Hannes Dreyer. My honorary title is actually Oom Hannes or Uncle Hannes. I prefer that title. And then today we are going to look at the applied knowledge and what on earth is applied knowledge. But before we get there, there's one or two things that I quickly want to mention. The first thing is please make sure that you subscribe to this playlist or this channel if you haven't done so. And then make sure also that you hit that little bell icon. That is to get notification, because on this channel I'm going to talk about and give you tips and tricks and strategies that we are going to use to outperform the best fund managers in the world by at least 1,000%. So fund managers, I'm talking about mutual funds and unit trust and pension funds and provident funds and retirement annuities and endowment policies and 401ks and you know, superannuation in Australia and stuff like that. And the reason for that is I believe that we as the individuals have got a million times more power than what we like to believe, because the system conditions us that we do not know how it works. And that is nonsense. These people with these degrees are regurgitating information. They don't know how to do it. The system creates a problem. We call it retirement or investments, and then they force their solutions onto us through legislation, and that is why the rest of the world keeps and stay poor. And it's simply to keep the masses poor, you put them through an educational system that does not work, where you learn nothing about finance, where you learn nothing about money, and if you learn about it, it's about their system, and they make it so damn complicated that no one can understand it. So I'm saying that a person without any qualifications or any financial background, or without not even knowing math, can outperform the best fund manager on condition that they apply the wealth creator strategy when it comes to return on investment. And the wealth creator strategy is actually a very, very simple strategy. It's the intelligent use of limited resources to go from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest possible time with the least amount of risk. That simply means that you have to think. And we are conditioned not to think. We are conditioned to regurgitate information. So the whole educational system conditions us, either this is right or wrong, and it's only right when the information that you regurgitate is the information that they want you to regurgitate. So this is a lot of bull. Well, I don't know what to say what it is, but it's nonsense. And the moment that we take the responsibility, we can outperform the best fund managers in the world with return on investment. And you always start small because you don't want to take risk. You apply the wealth creator strategy. And the wealth creator strategy is the intelligent use of limited resources to go from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest possible time with the least amount of risk. So this story that you have to take a risk is nonsense. The rich people do not take any risk. The financial institutions do not take any risk. You are taking the risk by giving your money back to them. It's that simple. Okay, so Jan, hello, and thank you for the honors. I really appreciate that. It's so great to have you on board. Please, if you like what you hear, give me a thumbs up. That is points. And we need to get this information out, and that's going to help with the algorithm on YouTube in order to get this a little bit higher. We are competing against the big financial organizations, and for that reason, we need these little votes. And then also, please, as I've said, subscribe and make sure that you hit the bell button and so forth. There's not a lot of people on, but if you get onto in the normal, I like that, and you listen to it afterwards, please go through this as if you are listening to this live, because that's the reason why I'm doing it live, so that you can have a little bit of time and to digest and to think what we are going to talk about. So the main thing that I want, maybe I need to switch over to another camera. Let's see if this is going to work a little bit better. I hope so. I'm not 100% sure, but at least let's give it a go. What is applied knowledge? Because applied knowledge, that is where the power is. Information, as I've said, we regurgitate information that the educational system gives us, or the financial institutions. Even if you get degrees like a chartered accountant or a MBA or a certified financial planner or advisor, or all these qualifications, they make it so complicated, and therefore it's difficult to pass those exams, and only a few people will be able to actually do that. And then the fund managers are the cream de la cream that they select, that regurgitated the stuff that they are supposed to learn. So they do exactly what these people want them to do. So as I've said, they've created the problem, and because they've created the problem, that is where the thing comes in. Now they come with a solution that is not a solution. It looks like a solution, but it is not a solution. And the quicker you understand that it's not a solution, the better it's going to be for you. Okay, so what is that applied knowledge? I just want to get something out of the way there. Right. Applied knowledge is when you know, we call it competency. A competency is basically when you've got the skills, you've got the knowledge, and you've got the experience. The combination of that is going to give you the competency. And this is what I mean with applied knowledge. In other words, applied knowledge is that you can show me the results. It's no good to say, I'm a fund manager and I've got 10 degrees and I know I've got 15 years of experience. Show me that you can outperform me. If you can outperform me, I listen to you and I've got respect for you. If you don't do that, I've got no flippin', well, I know that we can outperform you. And that is basically, and it's an open invitation to all fund managers, to all the experts out there, all the advisors, all the brokers, the financial brokers that knows it all. Show me that you can outperform us based on performance, right? Not on, and it's simple, it's a return on investment. In other words, we say the lower the risk, the higher the growth, because once you understand how growth works, then you start scaling. But you can't scale it unless you can get the growth. It's as simple as that, right? So Warren Buffett says something like, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. And when you hear this, most people don't get it, because we are conditioned to follow the herd. In other words, we do what everyone else is doing. And what Warren Buffett basically he says, go against the tide. In other words, you cannot do what everyone else is doing. What everyone else, the moment that they start advising you the normal thing, then you know that you won't be able to outperform them, because then you're part of that system. And that's why he says, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. In other words, he understands that you need to apply the knowledge by having the insights, right, and the experience, because this is a trend that keeps on repeating itself for ages, and yet people do not take that responsibility to really learn. Right. So locked in. Thanks for sharing wisdom. Started today with the wealth gains. That is what I love, and thank you. Thank you for that. You're going to absolutely love it, and I hope that you're going to get a Wilhelm. Thank you for helping me, because I could not figure out who you were. Right. So this is why I'm saying it's important, because most people in the world is not conditioned to think. We are conditioned to regurgitate. We are conditioned to get information, give the information over without thinking. In 1984, I started querying the system. In 87, I discovered why I started querying the system, because I could see that the lower the risk, the higher the growth. And simply by lowering the risk and understanding what risk is and how it works, guess what happens with the growth? It goes through the roof. And it's the growth on your investment, taking risk into consideration, that is a reflection of your skill level. And you do not need to go to high school or to college or to university or get any damn financial degree. Just have the skills. And if you've got the skills, you'll outperform any of these grand fund manager with their nice degrees. So the trick that I want to tell you is go against the tide. In other words, figure out what everyone else is doing, and then simply do the opposite, because no one is thinking. That is the problem with us. Everyone listens to the media and they listen to the experts, and they are not thinking, because it is difficult to use their brains, and they are not prepared to take the responsibility, because we are conditioned not to take responsibility. Right. So they listen to what we call social proof. In other words, Take the stock market. When things are running, then everyone wants to buy stock. That's the worst time to buy a stock, right? That's the time to sit back or to sell. That's not the time to buy. When there's a bubble and a huge thing going in property, that's when everyone goes into property. They've got no system, they've got no intelligence in order to determine if that property is a good property or a bad property. The same with cryptos. You know, in 2017, I think it was in December, when that rally happens, suddenly everyone wants to buy Bitcoin. They've burned their fingers. They simply, why? Because they listen to the media. They do not think. They haven't got a system to look at the system and say, okay, but what is this system? How can I use this system? How can I make a science out of this? A science is when you do certain things in a certain way to get a certain outcome, and you can predict the outcome beforehand. That is where the trick comes in. The majority of people work with hindsight. They do not have the insight in order to see what is going to happen. You know, what's crazy to me is that we follow people that do not know how to outperform the general indexes. In America, there's more than 8,500 mutual funds. Now, each and every one of the advisors, because unless you are accredited to sell their products, you're not allowed to sell the product. So they are going to push those products. But they themselves, the chances are almost zero that they invest in the funds that they're giving advice on. Here in South Africa, there's 1,246 funds, unit trust. We call it unit trust here in South Africa. But the people are not doing what they tell other people to do, because they know it's not working, but they don't know what's the alternative, because they've never used their damn brains. They never think, right? And that is where the problem comes in. So, like I've said with cryptocurrencies, if you follow what the media tells you, you can't succeed. In other words, in the normal way, the normal person, by thinking in the way that they want you to think, my friend, you will never, ever, ever succeed. You will never become rich. You have to take the responsibility. You have to start thinking for yourself, and then based on that, get the confidence so that you can do it. Right. So the normal person, as I've said, it's actually very, very, very simple. You simply look what everyone else is doing, and then you start doing the opposite. Maybe let me give you an indication of what I'm doing. I'm investing, one of the investments that I've got is cryptocurrencies. Now, everyone is going to tell you, stay away from cryptocurrencies. And if they talk of cryptocurrencies, they talk in terms of Bitcoin. Nothing wrong with that, you know. But I'm thinking, in other words, what I've done is I've started making a study of this. And this is for myself. It's not necessarily for you. And then I take that information and I put a system around it. Why? To take the emotion out. I do not want to become emotionally involved. And what I then did was simply to say, okay, but what is the fear factor? In other words, there's what I call a psychological indicator that I've built by taking everyone that invests in cryptocurrencies, and I measure the psychological, the fear and the greed factor. And based on that greed and fear factor, and based on that, I found the right, what I call value propositions. Based on that, I then can make an informed decision, right? And it's as simple as that, right? So, honest Jordan, thinking is in very short supply. Honest, I absolutely agree with you. Let me try to show you what I mean. And I'm going to take you into the Dreyer crypto psychological indicator, the fear indicator. Let me see if I can get I just want to get this thing up. Just give me a moment. I hope that I'll be able to do this correctly. And then let's see if I'm going to do that. Right. There we can see the fear factor. And I'm going to play open cards with you so that you can see. Now, this is one of the things that I think very important. Most people will work in a rear, in hindsight. I'm predicting the future. So at this point, let me get there. I think it was on the 7th. On the 7th of the 12th, those people that follow me in the Dreyer crypto strategy will know. I've sent out the email and I said that I'm going to buy into certain cryptos. And I'm going to enhance my portfolio. The reason for that was we were at the 92% fear factor. That was the reason why I decided at that day that this is what I'm going to do. Because I could see that when everyone else is fearful, that's the time to buy. But you can't just buy, you have to buy intelligently. In other words, you need to be able to do your homework. And what we do is we literally calculated what is, I call it an asymmetrical investment. In other words, I want to buy with a massive, massive upside. That is when I'm going to get into the market. I will not get into the market for a 15% or a 12% possible gains. That's not the way that the investor invests. They want to invest to get 100 and 200 and 1,000 and 2,000%. That's why we invest. And that's the way that you're going to get rich. Now, if you've got 1,000% and you've got 10 funds and one of the funds go bankrupt, guess what? You've still got an incredible 1,000%, right? If that fund goes bankrupt, it does not change. Now, if that was 10 rand and every position was 10 rand or $10, then of course your growth is going to come a little bit down, but you're still going to get a 900% growth on your investment. And that is what we are looking for. Right, so let me go back and let me give you perhaps an example. Right, I just want to see. So that was the day that I went back into the market and I said that I'm going to buy. Now, what is the return at the moment on that? Let me see if I can show you that. I just want to get to Excel and then let's see if just a moment. Right, there we are. The average of those 10 portfolios that I had is 101.81%. In other words, it's 101% growth. The best one out of that portfolio grew by 305%. So it's 305%. This is over about an 8-month period. Why? Because I do not listen to what the people out there tells me. I see when there's fear, that's the time for me to use my systems in order to identify those that are really, really powerful. That is when I'm going to buy. Now, what is applied knowledge? Applied knowledge is just that. In other words, it's when you've got the experience, when you've got the skills, when you've got the experience and knowledge and skills, and you put all of that together. Now, here's the best part. The moment that you can put that together within a system, then you take the emotion out. And the moment that you take the emotion out, that is when the fun happens. Now, this is only a part. In other words, that 305, of course, this is the best fund out of that bunch that I've just showed you. Okay? So that's the best fund out of the group. All right. But here is the trick. By using a little bit of applied knowledge, just a little bit, and use one financial structure, that growth on that portfolio for me personally, now mine is better than that, and I'm going to tell you what mine is. I've pushed that up to 6,368%. Can you see what I'm doing? In other words, I'm using applied knowledge. Remember we said in previous lessons that first thing, go for high income skill. This is a high income and a high growth skill that I apply because I understand financial structures. The moment that you understand financial structures, and this is what I'm teaching my Wealth Creators Method student, the moment that they get that, then it's a whole new world. It's a total new world that opens up. But that is only the part, because this is high income skill. Then if you combine that with high business skills, another world opens up. And if you combine that with high investment skills, then the world is opening up, because by doing that, and my Wealth Creators Method students will know what I've done in order to be able to do it. I grow on that specific position. I took it up to 405,730% return on investment, simply by lowering the risk. And this is the power that I'm talking about. And this is the power that I want you. But remember, it takes time. And when everyone else is doing certain things, start to query it, start to see, but is this really what I want? Is this really going to work for me? Is this really what's going to give me the results that I want? Okay, so I hope that you've learned something during this process. So it's all about Applied knowledge is not to do what other people. It's not to regurgitate and get a degree and think that that damn degree is going to work for you. Right. So, and the problem with the people that has got degrees, I can tell you now, if you've got a degree, you've got a problem, because now you have to say, but everything that I've studied and everything that I've applied and everything, and by the way, I had more than one fund manager over the last 18 years in the property side that came to me and said, Hannes, yeah, I can't believe that I'm battling to retire, and I can't believe that I've believed this lie for so long. So I think I've got a little bit of experience. And I was a financial planner and a financial advisor, so I understand how it works. We are so brainwashed to believe this freaking nonsense that it is unreal. And it's time that we start taking our power back. And the power lies within us. It does not lie with the damn financial institution or the government or someone else. We've got the power, but we have to take the power back. If you're not prepared to take the power back, you're going to suffer. I can tell you that you will not break this cycle. You have to break out of this way of thinking. And that's why I say, start with the quantum awakening. In other words, that's a power goal. It's part of the power goal package deal. Start with that. First of all, once you go through that, of course, if you're in the wealth game, start with this that we are busy with. And as soon as you are ready and you start just to get an idea why it is that you are suffering, then do the quantum awakening, right? You don't even do the rest of the courses. Do the quantum awakening, because that is where your brain is going to open and you're going to see the power that you've got, the potential that's already within you, on condition that you let go of this bad belief system that you've got. Belief systems, because there are so many belief systems that makes up that it's unreal, right? And then start thinking for yourself. And this is the tip that I want to give. Applied knowledge is when everyone, especially in the financial field, when everyone is fearful, that's the time to make your moves. And when everyone is greedy, that's the time to get out. The moment that you do that, the world is going to change. Now, perhaps let me ask you, is there anyone that would like to learn more about, I'm using a principle that we call the rulers principle. Rulers is an acronym, and I'm using that. So when I evaluate a property or a business proposition, or I'm evaluating cryptos, this is the principle that I'm following. So if you want to learn that basic principle, I am willing to give that principle, or maybe add that principle to this training, so that you can do that. So if you want to, just show me a 1. So if I see a 1, I know that I should include that. Now remember, this is not applicable only for cryptos, although that training will be, I've got 2 sets of training regarding the rulers principle. The one is a general training, and the second one is just for cryptos. So maybe you can say a 1 general or a 1 crypto. That is, of course, if you want to. But now you have to participate, because otherwise, if I don't get any ones, then I'm not going to give that information or add that information to this playlist. Of course, if you listen at the later stage, you're also more than welcome to say, okay, give me a 1 or give me, and I'll, Leon Scott, there's the first one. Peter, you the second one. Heidi, you the third one. Jan, Furi, the Fritzies, I love that. Marius, 1. Okay, do you want the general information, or do you want more set up specifically for cryptos? I think there's a delay. That is why it's taking a little bit of time in order to see the stuff. There's Herman. Leon says crypto. Dave, 1. Peter, crypto. Amy, hello Amy. Jan, crypto. So it seems to me that the cryptos are winning. Now, what I'm going to do in the Wealth Game Challenge, and please subscribe to this challenge. I hope that you all subscribe to the challenge. That is where you're going to start here, and then the second thing that you're going to do is basically what we're busy with at the moment. I'm going to add this in here, and then I will add another training series, and that will be the crypto, the rulers principle, how we apply that specifically to cryptocurrencies. Right, so I hope that Heidi says general. Maybe Heidi, I can do something, you know, you can't learn too much. By the way, Heidi, if you apply this to any, remember, it's your investments, it's your business, and you can apply the rule. You can apply it to stock if you want to play the stock market, the JSE or the Dow or any of those. That is what you're going to apply, and you can apply that, right? So you can apply it anywhere, but it takes time and effort. And then, of course, if you're really serious about it, you can subscribe to. You can simply go to DreyerCryptoStrategy.com and see what we are doing there. I think that you like that. So Marius also a general and says crypto and also one. Right. So I think that is that. Now, perhaps it's now time for, if you've got any question, I'm going to give you a little bit of time. If you've got any questions regarding this specific topic of applied knowledge, what it means and why I say when everyone is doing the opposite. So in my life, it was actually, you're more than welcome to ask the question. So in my life, it was when I, in 87, discovered that everything that I've learned in the financial field was based on a hoax. It became very, very simple. So when everyone tells me that something is not going to work, that is when I'm going to do that investigation in order to see if that is going to work, right? Because I know from experience, if there's a track record of 10 years or 9 years or 8 years when I started getting involved in cryptos, where Bitcoin outperformed the rest of the markets, then there's no freaking ways that I will go into and ignore that. There's something else that I'd like to show you, by the way. Remember, I showed that one. Let me see if I can get it here. That one, let me take that thing off. Right. Remember I said that the best performance, I'm going to tell you what that was REN. Of course, please do not go and buy it now because it's not in a buy signal anymore. But REN at that point in time, I just want to try to move this around. The growth was 305% up to today. If you've bought Bitcoin at exactly the same stage, so maybe let's get back to this one. Right. So if on that day, on the same day you've bought Bitcoin, on that specific day, you bought Bitcoin instead of this portfolio, what do you think the outcome would be? Well, let me quickly show you. I know that you are absolutely going to love this. Right. Bitcoin at that point in time was 7,533. Today, the last time that I checked, 9,700. So that gives you a growth of 26. So you compare the 26% versus 305. And this is actually the reason. In other words, I do not take it for granted. I do my homework and I take the responsibility to figure out, but how the hell is this working? And where's the value? Because you have to go and find the value. Sometimes you're going to get it wrong. But I promise you that on average, over a period of time, things are going to be totally different. Let me show you something else. On the same day, because this is how powerful this is. This is where we said that was, I did not know that the fear factor would go up, but the fear factor did go up. So on the 16th of March in 2020, it was at its highest for this year so far. It was 97%, and at the moment, it is 82%. So if you've bought REN at that point in time, we can go to REN. Let me show you. Right. So if you bought it at that point, that was the price. This is what the price is at the moment. So that dip would, no, I did not show you. I need to go to another screen. Sorry for that one. Right. Let's try again. This is the one that I'm talking about, REN. Right. This is where that was at its lowest point. This was the date. Let's see if I'm correct. There's the 16th March. Now remember, my program is totally independent. I did not know this. In other words, I'm predicting literally the future. This is what this fear factor is doing. So when it's set at 87, I went into and I bought again. But at 87%, if you've bought REN at that point in time, the growth on that was 449%. This is how powerful this stuff is. If you've bought Bitcoin at exactly the same time, it was 80.06%. And this is the power, this is literally the power of applied knowledge. Now, when I say applied knowledge, I do not mean unless you've got a system that you can prove. And that has proved itself over and over and over. There's no ways in life that you can say that I've got applied knowledge. That is why I developed the Property Pro investment system. This is why I've developed the money-making machine. It is a proven system, people, and you have to be able to do that and take the responsibility and study and invest in yourself. This information is the most powerful information that you can get in the world. Right. Peter says, Heidi says, I understand. Thank you for that. Peter says, can you give the guidance on the wealth creators method? Students play the wealth game. I'm getting confused between the two logins. Perfect. Peter, because you're a wealth creator method student, you're going to play the wealth game. There's two games. The one is the wealth game, and the one is the wealth game challenge. The wealth game challenge is a free program, which and a process. This is where I've decided that I'm going to educate people to get the basics, to understand why they need to change their mindset, and then they're going to start with what you are doing, where you go a lot deeper and get your knowledge levels up. And as you get your skills up, your competency levels up, that is where you play the wealth game. That is the real game. But you play it in the wealth creators method side with the Dreyer crypto strategy, because everything there is ingrained. So literally what we are doing, Peter, here you do and you follow this that you are busy doing, and you're getting the points, and you can invite your friends. And here you play the game as a method student. Now, my method students is those people that I say who's going to outperform the rest of the market with 1,000% minimum. So that is a separate, it's a far more advanced. This is where we go into structures. This is where we go into this the advanced financial structures and the advanced high income growth structures and how to get to those structures. That is where we play. So we literally, the method students play against the rest of the world. That is the bottom line. So you do the courses and the material here in order to get your experience points. That is where you'll see, if you invite your friends, you can see who's got the most experience. But then you'll see on this side, that is where you're going to literally smash the rest of the people by applying that applied knowledge, that advanced knowledge. Right. I hope that helps you. So you play the game both ways. That information there is advanced information. This information that we're busy right now is simply, it's seriously advanced compared to any other. And I'm giving it away for free, right? But people think it's for free, and therefore they're not going to attach a value to that. But this is for you to understand why you have to put more time and more effort into yourself. Right, and I hope, Peter, that is what you start. Do you start the wealth game at some stage in the prospect, or is there certainly place that I need to go? The wealth game, Peter, I'm not going to be able to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a crash course. That's only going to be, I think, early next week that I'm going to do that. I think it was in week 8 where I started telling people about the wealth game in the Wealth Creators Method mentoring students. I think it was more or less week 8 where I've started opening at. But don't play that game until you've got the hang of it. In other words, it's intelligent. If you're just going to play the game with the knowledge that you've got with 8 weeks of training, I can guarantee you that you're not going to get to the thousands of percent. Okay, so it's open. You can do it because some of my students have been with me for a very long time, and they understood the principles at that point. But if you start afresh in the method like yourself, please do not, because the real McCoy, the real information, the real skills are still there. But I'm going to give you a crash course with this affiliate system that we brought in, that I think that I can speed that process up dramatically. And I've waited for this game, the light version, to be finished before I can start with that. So I've actually, yesterday was the first time that I've launched this game and start telling my database. I've told Facebook friends and YouTube friends, I've told about that. but I did not open that to the database. So now that we've got the database and we see that there are not too many problems, that is where why I say that I feel comfortable enough to give the method students like a crash course on how to get the maximum from all of this. Of course, you're going to catch up with the knowledge, but if you see what I do and how I do, then things are going to happen. Now, Peter says, I'm with you since 2007. No, Peter, you are with me on the on certain parts. You're not with me on the advanced. The advanced you've just entered literally, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago when you upgraded to the method mentoring student. When did you do the upgrade for the first time on the method mentoring, Peter? That is when your real training starts. Of course, everything is preparation, but and people don't get it. You know, in the educational system, there are 7 levels. You get the before school, and then you get primary school, and then high school, and then you get the degree, and then honorary degree, and then a master degree, and then a PhD. Now, people think for some crazy reason that in order to get 1,000 and 10,000 and 400,000%, they can have like a high school diploma. No, a high school diploma get 20 and 30%. That's the difference. It's when you enter the grade and the level, Peter, that you've just entered, where the fun is, because now you start working towards that doctorate degree, where you can, I call it a degree, it's not a damn degree, but you'll see there's a fellow of the Institute of Wealth Creators, and then you get an honorary fellow and a master fellow and a doctorate fellow. A doctorate fellow can get more than 10 million% growth. And that is how you qualify for that little accolade. So you are now preparing to get to that level, Peter. Up to now, it was preparation. It was the basics that you were busy doing. I hope that, I see that you've got it. Peter, you are now moving into an incredible, it's an explosion. And every time that you're going to come back to the lessons with this new wealth of insight, you're going to say, shibbit, I've heard this so many times, but I could not get it. Or I thought that I get it. There's a saying that says, you don't get it until you get it, right? And the majority of people, because they hear and they condition to regurgitate, they think they've got it, but they haven't got it because they can't show you the results. And that is basically what I'm saying. Also, Leon, you also started with this process. I've got so much to learn. I have more lessons per day in the Wealth Creators Method mentoring. Okay, you'll see there we are going to brick you. You can't just run away, Leon, and rather get the information and apply that information than trying to run away and say, I've done the lessons. And Leon, I think almost, I'm not sure if this is the same person that I'm talking, but you've got a doctorate degree. And that is where the bloody problem comes in. We are so conditioned by the system to regurgitate that we think that when we've got the information to regurgitate, we understand. It's not the truth, my friend. It's 2 different worlds. The reality and the educational system are miles and miles. It's the north and the south, or the east and the west. So far are they, it's crazy. I got my doctorate degree in order to get back, in order to show the academics that they know absolutely bugger all. But it helped me nothing, because they are almost like a clique. They've got this clique mentality that I know. And I've said to them, show me the damn results. Show me the results. I can outperform the whole bunch of you with all your economic and all your fancy degrees, because you don't know how it works, because you've based your principle on the wrong principle. You base risk on the wrong principle. Risk is not a small deviation in terms of, that is not risk, my friend. Risk is when you do not have risk. Because if you don't take risk, how the hell can you say there's risk? If I invest in something and it costs me nothing, how can you say, how can I lose nothing? It is freaking impossible. Now, let me show you something. I'm getting so bloody fed up with this. Let me show you something. How conditioned and how stupid the average person is. Let me show you. You know, when I say to people, you do not have money and you do not need money in order to get whatever you want, they always bloody argue and say it's impossible and that it cannot be done. And check here. This is Old Mutual, right? And you can check this. It's oldmutual.com/about/heritage. Right. Here it says, a Scotsman named John Fairbairn started the Mutual Life Insurance Society of the Cape Good Hope in 1845 in Cape Town with no capital. My friend, how flippant clear is it? With no capital. If you do not put any capital, the risk is to lose capital. Risk is when you do not know what you're doing. Now, these people are the same people that teach you, no, you can't do it. Do you think that that Scotsman had the degrees and the qualification? He used his bloody brains. It was intelligent use. He used other people's money to start a more of a business for himself collectively, where he benefited. Today, the shareholders of Mutual, do you think they are poor people, the main maker? No, no, my friend, but they have to let you believe that you cannot do it yourself. And what we're saying through this wealth game is bullshit. You can do it. But you have to learn this. And you will not learn this in any curriculum, in any educational system, in any financial system. This is what I'm telling you. You'll learn it at the Wealth Creators University, where we are not accredited. I looked at the accreditation and I saw this is the biggest hoax in the world. When I did my PhD, I did not do my PhD through a normal accredited university, because then I had to give my intellectual property to those people. And my intellectual property is mine. It's not the damn government. Right. I hope that you are getting this. Right. So, Hubert, I joined the Property Pro. Nowadays, you speak of other programs, where to start and what next. Hubert, nothing wrong if you've joined the Property Pro. Is that the Property Pro mentoring? That is a brilliant, brilliant program. Remember, that is part of the investment scheme. So you've got your high income skills, then you've got the business skills, and then you've got a investment skill. Property is a high investment skill, but it's just one of the skills. But flip it, you can make, look at what JP is doing with his property portfolio. If you don't follow JP, Brendan Brown, one of my other students, the last time that I checked, he's got a portfolio of $154 million that is running in America. A Burki. Well, he's not a Burki, he's a Roinak. But and he will love that. Right. But this is from this, he's done that course. Right. So I joined Property Pro last year around 20 September. Then you've got the Property Pro mentoring. And that is a brilliant. Just go and apply that. Leon, I do. It's very different worlds. So Leon, I think, refers that he's got a PhD, but it's completely, Leon, I think it's such a shock for a person that's got all these degrees to find out, but flip, it's bullshit. I'm not saying because you're not in the financial world. So in your field, maybe that is applicable, and maybe because of that, you've got a high income paying job, and it's great. But if you want to become an entrepreneur, or you want to learn how to become a wealth creator, or you want to learn how to let your money work for you through this high income skill and high business skills and high investment skills, then that world is not going to serve you at all. Right? It's a way to put food on the table and to keep you poor for the rest of your damn life. And if you're a professor, I think you know exactly what I mean. Right? So Hubert. Ralph, I joined a little bit late. No problem, Ralph. It will be go and listen to it at the later stage. And then Hubert, I saw JP, impressive what he's doing. That is the power of what you are busy doing, Hubert. But you have to start believing in yourself and do what we tell you to do. That's why you've got mentors. Laura and myself, by simply following what we've done, we've paid the price. You don't have to pay that price again. Heidi says, clever, well done. Universities are part of a big misleading money-making business. Of course, can you imagine for one moment, Heidi, when you can learn stuff and you don't need them and you can outperform them? Do you think that those professors have got a job? They're out of a job. Every single person that's got economics and stuff like that hasn't got a job anymore. They have to fight for life. The same with the financial advisors and planners. Of course, they're going to attack you. I open it up and I say, show me your results. I'm prepared to show you my audited statements. I'm prepared to open it up like I've done so many times in the past. Show me that you can outperform me, right? It's yappity, yappity. No, stop the yappity, yappity, yappity and trying to be clever. Show me that you can outperform me. And not only myself, but my students. JP, for example, I think has got a 3 million. Lara's got close to 1 million. Netta, one of the ladies that's working, well, she's basically a partner. She's got, I think, close to 1 million%. Show me that you can outperform those people, because you start small, but you scale. And the moment that you know how to do, if you know how to turn $10 into $20, you've got a skill, and you repeat that skill, it's unreal. I really hope that this is going to help a lot of people. If you've got questions, please let me know. I'll come back to this on YouTube and check it. I'm also going to post this in the Wealth Game Challenge. So please let me know. This is a little bit different from the rest, but I like to interact with people. This is the best way for me to be able to do it. Okay, so I want to thank you for your time and for the effort that you're putting in, and challenge your friends. This is why we're there. Challenge your friends. Let them. One of the things that I'm going to ask my programmer to do, because I can almost with 100% certainty tells you that the fund managers are not going to play, because I've been actually challenging them now for the last 18 years, right? For 18 years. And I've never had an opportunity where a fund manager come to me and say, I will use my funds and I will outperform you. And never. So what we're going to do, we're going to see if there's not a way where we can incorporate that in the challenge and put all the, at least unit trust here in South Africa and maybe the American mutual funds. And even if they don't want to play, they publish their growth and then incorporate that into this program. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think it will be worth our while to see if we can do that. Right. So Hubert says, I love the Wealth Creators University. Brilliant. Thank you for serving us, Hannes. We owe. It's priceless. Hubert, this is my passion. And my friend, if you are willing to do what you are busy doing, right, and you start getting the results, that is where I'm getting my satisfaction. That is what motivates me to keep on doing this for the last 18 years. It's that attitude. That is what I'm looking for, because we going to change the financial world one person at a time. The moment that let's call it that vision clear, and the moment that you understand who you truly are, that is the moment that life is going to happen, and it's going to happen big time for you. So thank you so much for your time. I'll come back to this, and I think that is perhaps enough for now. See you. Thanks. By the way, please make sure that you subscribe. Please make sure that you perhaps refer people if you think, and invite them to play the game. Don't argue with them. If they're clever, just let them prove. Say to your financial advisor, there's a weird game that I'm busy playing. I'm going to outperform you by thousands of %. Don't stop anything that you've got, hey? Until you've got the skills, don't stop anything, because you can play the game. Nominate the fund that you think can win, and play. Remember, it's just a game. There's nothing that you can win. There's nothing that you can lose. It's just a game. And enjoy that game and play that game and play full on, because it's game on. Thank you. See you. Cheers. Bye.